Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by for another episode of Writer Reads, aka where I talk about all the books I read this week and or plan on reading this weekend. So I guess like the first thing I want to do is talk about some of the books that I got. I have this system now where it's like I don't buy any physical copies unless it's from something that I read, I like, and I know I want to go back and read it. This week I got some books in the mail, which was so nice. To start off, I got the paperback of Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I still haven't finished it, but I really like her writing, and so I definitely want to have the physical copy of this book. I also got the Harry Potter series, but it's not just any Harry Potter edition. It's the Mina Lima. It's this edition where it comes with the artwork and all of that jazz. I know I said that I'm not like a fan of like reading hardcover books, but when I saw this a long time ago, I knew that I wanted it. I only read the first 3 in the series. I haven't finished it. My kid's finished the entire series. He read it multiple times, and so he wants us to read together again because he wants to read it again. So I was like, I want to be able to have a really nice immersive experience, and so I feel like this is just going to take it up a notch. So I only got what was available. I got the first book, so The Sorcerer's Stone. I got the second one, which is Chamber of Secrets. Third one, which is pretty thick, it's The Prisoner of Azkaban. And then I got the fourth one, which is really big. It's the Goblet of Fire. And so I'm excited to get into this. This is a different illustrator. This is by Carl James Mountford. And so I would be very interested to see how different the art style is. We have a reoccurring star. It's the Kobo Clara Color e-reader. So if you know, then I purchased, this is one of my first e-readers, my first ever e-readers that I had ever gotten my hands on. It was a few years ago. I got it, super excited, but then at the time I still was kind of in that mindset of like, oh, I only can read physical books. I only feel comfortable reading physical books. And so I got cold feet, decided to return it because I just felt like I didn't want to waste any money. And if I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do this, then I didn't want to like have it. A few years after, I was like, I wanted to get an e-reader for sure. I tried to get the Kobo Clara color, but it just was sold out. I couldn't get it on Amazon. It was so difficult, and so I just was like, fine. So then I ended up getting the Kindle instead, the Kindle Color Soft instead. And then last week I was just like, I really want my Kobo back because I missed it so much. And so I ended up getting the Kobo Clara color, and I decided that this would be the one that I wanted because I was battling between whether I should get the Libra or the Clara. And so it was really hard for me to decide, but I just realized in the end that this is more me. This is something that I feel like I'm just more comfortable with having. And as far as like note taking and stuff like that, I think that would have been amazing if this e-reader had a pen and then I can like annotate the way that I would have liked to, but I don't. It doesn't come with one, which is okay, but I don't know, the Libra just isn't for me. This is more so me, and I feel like I can sleep better at night knowing that I have the Clara. I felt like with deciding on if I should get the Libra, it was more so me just trying to convince myself, and I just felt like just being able to annotate just isn't enough for me. Like, I want to be able to hold it and then it just feels comfortable in my hands and it's nice and small, and the Libra is just too wide for me. I want to be able to like type my things in, and it just, I don't know. It's so simple and I like the simplicity of it, and so I just felt like I am reunited with a Como Clara, and I'm just so happy. Let's get into discussing the books that I've read this week. So I was listening to Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it. At first, I tried to vlog the experience, but honestly, the angles, it just was like, it wasn't it, okay? It wasn't it. And so I'm just not going to post it. I'm going to try really hard because I think it benefits me more when I'm able to give my thoughts in real time, as opposed to like me just kind of like trying to recall what I felt in the moments that I felt while I'm trying to like explain things to you guys. Like I just really need to get into like a really nice flow. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it. And I know I'm kind of like, I'm not as excited or whatever, but like when I tell you I was listening to this and there's so many quotes that I had kept going back to thinking about, like when she was talking about how like children are like water. One moment her kids can look like her dad. One minute her kids can look like her mom and all that stuff like that. And I just thought like just the way that she was able to like kind of like lay that out and like kind of describe it in that way, it was just like, wow, like that was really cool. I remember in that moment I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like yeah, like that's so cool that she was able to like think about it in that way. There's another thing where Carrie was like, don't begrudge me of this life, where it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is like it like the writing is great, the dialogue is great. I've really grown to love Shiloh as a character, and I feel like she feels real, right? She feels more real than a lot of the characters that I read. She just was so raw. Like I don't think I've ever read a character like Shiloh before. I just really enjoyed her character, and it was just so amazing. You know, oftentimes characters go through things in books, and you want them to grow and transform, and for some, like, be vindicated or get redemption or feel like there's some hope for the character. And just reading this, or in this case, listening to it, it felt so like, oh my gosh. It felt so promising. Carrie made Shiloh feel like she was the same person she'd always been, but he also made her feel like she could be someone new. For all the ways they knew each other, so much between them was barely precedented, everything romantic or sexual. Shiloh could start over. She could be a different sort of lover with Carrie, and someday, soon, a different sort of wife. She thought, with Ryan, that she was lucky to have someone who didn't need to look in her eyes. She'd realized too late that he couldn't. With Carrie, Shiloh wanted to push through her own discomfort, to get over herself, to look directly at the sun. And I can totally relate to some of the things that Shiloh was feeling and what was going on in her head, how she thought about things, more specifically how she thought about people in general. I was like, girl, same. This story was beautiful, and I really enjoyed it, and I just thought it was just like really, really cute. I enjoyed them so much that I would have been satisfied if in the end they realized that they can only be friends. I would have been okay with that. And I think that's what I like most about this story. Had it had any ending, I would have been okay, because the writing and the characters was just, it was so exceptional. So I'm back. It's a little bit later, but I really wanted to get this done. Okay, so yes. So now I'm currently in the middle of reading The Running Grave. I am 22% of the way through with this. We follow Cormoran and Strike. I think this is book 7. We follow this detective named Cormoran Strike and his partner Robin Ellicott, and they are recommended by Izzy from Lethal White, the Chisel family. So Izzy recommends Robin and Strike to this guy. I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But there's this dad, and he decides to hire Cormoran and Robin to try to get his son to come out of this cult that he's in called the Universal Humanitarian Church. and there's like a lot of like rumors about things that's happening. There's this ex-member that has come out, and he was going to like do a book about it. It's pretty well known, but also at the same time, it seems to be pretty protected. And it's your standard cult kind of tactics where it's like, if anyone says anything negative, they go after them. They have to they make the journalists retract things and threaten to sue people and all that stuff like that. And I have been waiting to read this book for the longest. Since I found out that it was about cults and mind control, I was like super excited to get into it, super excited to get started. And the thing is, like, at that time, I was probably like 2 or 3 books behind. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got a mountain to climb with this. But I'm so glad I'm finally here. I'm currently reading it on my Kindle, and let me tell you something. I don't know if there's something like that, like something about e-readers or whatever, but I feel like I read faster when I'm on my e-reader as opposed to like when I'm reading with my book. I really don't know, but I'm not complaining at all. Like, the fact that I'm 22% of the way through is just like amazing to me. And I'm like reading, and I'm just like, I want to read every second of the day. Like, I have things that I have to get done, and so like I'm trying to sneak in reading sessions whenever I can, because this book is just so good. I love how JK is going into without like having to hold my hand or like have a whiteboard in front of me and like, this is mind control here, this is mind control there. Like, it's like there's things that are happening, and it's just the experience alone, whereas like either you can identify it or you can't. What's is also so fascinating about this as well is because years ago, my husband told me about this guy named Nature Boy, and he had a cult. And I literally, in real time, everyone's talking about the documentary now, but at the time that it was occurring and he was out and he was on social media, I was in there, but not necessarily him. Like, I wasn't following his channel or listening to his videos or whatever. There are commentary videos where they were like on live and they were talking about it and they were trying to save the girls. I was there during the lives when the dad was like involved, and like when he had the debate with like young Pharaoh. I was all up in it. I was so fascinated and like so invested in it. And I was around when they got caught. I find it really fascinating, and the fact that like this is something that she's going to delve into is just like, I'm excited. What's also interesting too is that this is the same place that Cormoran and his sister was at. Like, it wasn't known as the Humanitarian Church at this particular time. Back in the day, it was called something else. And they still kind of had like this spiritual retreat kind of programming going on, but it was more along the lines of like, you know, we're hippies, we're free people and all that stuff like that. But now it's more so, it's kind of sort of the same, but it's progressed in a way where it's like, we accept everyone, and you can have like any kind of like religion, any kind of background, and we accept everyone. I want to get something from the book. So Jonathan is the leader, and then Mazu is his wife, and she's usually at the farm. I think it's called Chaplain Farm. That's usually where she's at, and she's running things there. And then Jonathan is doing tours. So they're talking about Jonathan Weiss, and the guy says he made it sound interesting and cool. Like, he was talking about fighting, like materialism and capitalism. But he also said you could learn. I know this sounds crazy, but kind of learn, not magic, but to make things happen with your own power if you studied enough. You hardly had a minute to think. You were never alone. There were always UHC people with you, talking to you. you had activities until like 11 o'clock at night, and you were so tired at the end of the day, you could hardly think. And then it all started at 5 a.m. again. And they taught you these techniques that, like, if you had a negative thought, like about the church or about anything really, you had to chant. They called it killing the false self, because like the false self is going to struggle against the good, because it's been indoctrinated by society to think certain things are true when they're not. And you've got to fight your false self constantly to keep your mind open enough to accept the truth. They're constantly telling you how great you are, and you started wanting their approval, said Henry uncomfortably. You couldn't help it. And all this talk about pure spirit, they made it sound like you'd be a superhero or something once you were pure spirit. Normal religions divide, but the UHC unites. And when people unite across cultures, and when they become the highest version of themselves, they'll be an unstoppable force, and they can change the world. And there were loads of black and brown people at Chapman Farm, as well as white people. So that seemed like proof of what he was saying. And you just believe him. It sounded like there was nothing there you could like disagree with. Ending poverty and all that, and becoming your highest self. And Papa J was just like someone you'd want to hang out with. Like, he was really warm, and he was like the dad you'd have if you could choose. What I like most is like how things are happening, and like I said before, if you're able to like pick up on these things, like you understand like, okay, so this is a way to kind of get people to engage and to like be involved. Like, there is this moment where he's also talking about when he almost signed up. It was like the pressure to join and to have all these people approve of you was really intense, and everyone was watching, and I didn't know what was going to happen if I said no. And I swear, I didn't know if I was going to have the strength to say no, but thank God there was this girl ahead of me, a black girl with a tattoo of the Buddha on the back of her neck. And I've never forgotten her, because if she hadn't been there, so they call her name and she said, no, I don't want to join, like really loud and clear. And the atmosphere just turns to ice. Everyone was like glaring at her, and Papa J was the only one who was still smiling. And he gave her this whole spiel about how he knew the material world had a strong allure. And basically, he was implying she wanted to go and work for Big Oil or something instead of saving the world. But she didn't budge, even though she got kind of tearful. And then they called my name, and I said, I don't want to join either. And I saw Flora's face, and it was like I'd slapped her. Like, I don't know. This is it's so crazy. It's really crazy, and I'm really interested to just kind of like, I guess, understand why and how people can join cults. Like, I'm not saying that I'm the type of person to not join a cult. But I just want to know how it works, like how, because it's like, it's one thing when you're joining a group and you're thinking like, oh, like this is so cool, like I'm a part of a group, I'm a part of something big, I'm a part of a community. But like when things start to go crazy or go bad, like why do people stay? I don't know. Like, it just kind of reminds me with the Nature Boy situation, like when things started to go down south and like bad things were happening, like I always wondered why people stayed on the ship even though it was like sinking. And so anyways, so yes, it's about this, it's about a cult, and they're trying to infiltrate, they're trying to go inside in order to get Will, which is the son. And the way that they're going to go about doing that is Robin is going to go undercover, and then she's going to go, she's going to go into the cult. She's going to be the person in the thick of it. She's going in the lion's den. I don't understand why, because it's technically a schmeck cult, if you know what I mean. And she has her past. She had she was assaulted in her past, and so I wonder how this is going to work out for her. How she's going to be able to manage it, because one of the things that happens is like it's the women that are forced to have intercourse with like different people, and they don't necessarily really have a choice. And so yeah, I wonder how she's going to maneuver through that, and I'm kind of nervous for her. I don't even know. But yeah, so Strike and his sister was there like in the beginning stages before like they got caught the first time, because they got shut down the first time, and the leader of that time was charged, or I think. And so it's become personal because he finds out something about his sister during that particular time. I'm loving it. Like I said, I'm trying really, really hard to like not detach from the real world, because I just constantly want to read and stuff. And so I decided, like, I have an hour in the morning where I read with my kids. We have an hour where we sit and we just read. And then I have the time that I can read before I go to bed. And I'm just going to try and keep it at that and not do too much. And so that's pretty much it with that. Now that I finished Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell, I think what I'm going to do is read Bunny. Okay, so it's Mona Odd. I think that's what it's called. So Bunny by Mona Odd. So I'm going to listen to that because I just got approved of that. And so, yeah, that's going to be my new Audible book. And I'm excited to read that. There are 2 books that's on my radar. And I'm just like saying to myself, like, should I just wait till it goes on sale? It just came out, so I doubt it's going to go on sale for a while. And that is Slanting Towards the Sea. Let me see. So, Slanting Towards the Sea by Ladija Hilji. So that's a book that I'm interested in reading. And then also, what's the other book? I think it's A Good Person. A Good Person by Kirsten King. And so those are 2 books that I really, really, really want to start reading. But I think I know I'm gonna get it on my Kobo. I'm not gonna get it on my Kindle because you don't own books on your Kindle. And so I'm gonna start getting the books on my Kobo and just read the Kindle Unlimited books on my Kindle. So that's what I'm gonna do as far as that goes. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna end this here. I gotta put the food away. It's literally sitting here on this floor. And so I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, peace.